You're shooting your first feature film in June. Tell me about that. How is that process, and what has the process been from idea inception to this point now, where at the time of this recording you'll be shooting like what, 5 weeks?
Whew. Where do you want me to begin?
From the beginning.
From the beginning
of this journey.
Of this journey. Okay. My film is called San Francisco Bae. I started writing it back in March of 2021. So it's been about 2 years in terms of just writing the script. But I had some team members there from the very beginning. So like had a writer's room, had a group kind of consulting me on the characters, because the characters in it are very multicultural. So I wanted to make sure to have that buy-in and the authenticity from the very beginning. That's very important to me. But yeah, I don't know. There's so much to talk about in terms of the journey.
So for anyone who's not made a feature film before, and even for some people who have and will connect to this, what have been some of the biggest leaps you've had to make in yourself, in your own identity, to go, okay, I'm actually making a feature film? Or was it a case of from the beginning, you're like, no, I'm going to make a feature film? There wasn't even, because I'm sure you've had a lot of people go, you're making a feature film?
Yeah. Well, I've always been a creative at heart. I grew up in a pretty creative family, so I grew up doing musical theater, singing, acting, you name it. But when I got to college, I wanted to be more practical. And then when I graduated from college, I continued being practical and working in tech, working in government, and most recently working at Disney, where I was helping to improve diversity and inclusion in front of and behind the camera. And in doing that, I started getting really passionate about telling my own stories and wanting to make an impact, not just as a data analyst, but as a writer. So it really started from there, wanting to just put my story on paper. And then in taking courses and developing that story more, I heard from other writers in the industry that I should direct my own work. And then hearing from other cinematographers who had been to film school, they told me the best film school is actually creating your own projects. And so I guess I started thinking about doing that more seriously back in August of 2022. So about almost 9 months ago-ish, give or take. Yeah.
And with making your first feature film, like give us the shorthand answer of, because there's lots of stuff involved.
Yeah.
But what are some of the things you've had to learn that you didn't know until you all of a sudden found out, oh, this?
There's so much. Okay. Well, I think what was really a really obvious miss for me when I was working at Disney was just not really understanding the production process. Like, not really knowing what happens in between having a script and to it becoming a full-fledged movie. It's something that I really wanted to learn. So for me, I think understanding what the process was on the business side was really important. And that's kind of where I started out. But it really, I think the most learning I got was from being on set and actually seeing what happens, actually helping my sister on her project, hiring the crew members, like getting funding, all those little pieces in between. There's so much. I mean, it's kind of like running your own startup in a lot of ways. And for me on my journey, I had just started at a 4-person startup and then working on my sister's project. And the two together really kind of gave me an unintentional boot camp of like building something from scratch. And I feel like being a filmmaker is a lot like being a CEO of a startup.
Yeah, or an entrepreneur.
Or an entrepreneur,
for sure.
Yeah, for sure.
And when you look at now your scripts, because how much of it was consciously sharing your story and how much of it was unconscious, that when you learned more about writing scripts, you're like, oh, actually, I have unconsciously written about me. Like, how much, because a lot of people have got their first script, or that, it's often them, and it's very obvious to them. They're very conscious that, oh, this is my story and I want to get it out there. How much of that for you was that? Or was it more experiences working in Disney and what you'd seen that you were like, I feel a passion for diversity and wanting to write a script like this?
Ooh, that's a really good question. I think for me, it was actually my time at Bumble that really influenced this particular
On
script.
the dating app or working there? Or both.
Working.
Both. Yes.
Yes. Working at Bumble. Yeah, because there's a lot of research that shows that within dating apps that Black women and Asian men have the hardest time. And so for me, I really wanted to create a story where you had two really awesome, sexy, complicated protagonists. And so my two protagonists in the script are a Black woman and an Asian man, and they get together. And so it was kind of my own romanticization, I guess, of that narrative and wanting to show two characters who are complex but also really attractive and, you know, desired and multifaceted in a way that we haven't been able to see Black women and Asian men on screen. So that was really the origin of the story. And then I wove my own experiences working in tech, living in San Francisco, my own friendships and community that are very multicultural. I just like wove that into that storyline.
And what for you as someone who lived in San Francisco, what are some of the important aspects of your experience you wanted to have in there that you feel like anyone who's in San Francisco can resonate with?
Yeah, well, for me, I think, and probably for a lot of other people who live in San Francisco, tech is like the epicenter of everything. It's kind of where a lot of people see value. You might be on the, you know, the bus and someone will say, what do you do for work? And if you don't say you work at one of the, you know, the top 10 tech companies, they kind of like their eyes glaze over and they're disinterested. And that was my experience. And so when I first moved there and I worked for the government, I just felt really lame. And so that's a big part of the story of like, oh, if you don't have this, you know, prestige attached to you, do you have worth? Do you have value living in San Francisco? And then as well as a lot of the expectations that people have of their kids who grew up in the Bay Areas to like work in tech or to like go to Stanford, go to Berkeley, go to these really successful schools. So I really wanted to have those elements in the story as well.
And for anyone who doesn't know about the film yet, give us the synopsis or log line, or what is the film about? And why should they look out for this film once it's been shot?
Yeah, so logline, a Black female founder struggling to find investors and an Asian med school dropout concoct a risky plan to pursue their true passions and achieve the American dream. Yeah.
And synopsis?
Synopsis. So the story is about this character, Sierra, who's really struggling to find investors for this app that she wants to build that's really focused on helping minority home buyers in the Bay Area navigate the real estate process. And then the other lead, Alex, has just dropped out of med school and he's trying to pursue a career as an R&B artist. And so the two of them come together to help those dreams come true. So there's a lot of plotting, a lot of scheming. It's really a coming of age story disguised as a rom-com. So if you're into love, if you're into drama, there's lots of it in this story.
There is lots of it, yeah. I've read
really
the script.
Fun.
It's a solid script. It's a good script, yeah. So yeah, if you like any kind of rom-com, for sure you'll enjoy it, for sure. And what has been for you as a filmmaker, as you know, the experience you've got, what for you? What is it you want to be different about this film? Like, what is like the legacy you want to leave behind? What is particularly close to your heart that you want people to watch this and go? What is the feeling you want to leave them with?
Ooh, I think for me, the feeling I want people to leave with is inspired. I want people to feel hopeful. Because it's really a story about overcoming stereotypes, overcoming superficial barriers that maybe your family and society puts on you. It's really about believing in yourself and investing in yourself to make your dreams come true. And so I hope that watching this, people leave wanting to pursue their dreams and knowing that there's a community that can help you and being able to lean into other people to help support you on that journey too. But mostly it starts from within. Believing in yourself.
And a little bit of a curveball question.
Yeah.
As a filmmaker, as a writer director, when you look at your life now, and I don't know what you believe, but on this channel we believe in destiny.
Yeah.
When you look at your life now, what are some of the major aspects of your life, and you go, oh my God, it makes sense. It makes sense that I'm now making a film. I can see how that happened gave me this, and how that happened took away that, and as a result, this is who I've become. Like, what are some of the significant moments of your life you can go, okay, that really shaped me to make me the person that can tell this story, that Spirit wants me to tell this story? I know it's a lot.
It's a lot. I think, I think there's a few pivotal moments I can remember. One is just this is going to sound really random, but transferring colleges, actually. And that one was big because I went from like a really small liberal arts school that like my parents really wanted me to go to this big public university, actually technically to community college. And so that experience was really, I guess, my first time going against my family's expectations. And that really drives the character of Alex so well. Like just being able to, like, I don't know, go against what your family wants you to do is such a hard thing. And that really drives his storyline in this. And I think a lot of people can relate to that. And from, what I've heard from my, Asian American friends and community, that can be it's a really strong aspect of the immigrant experience, right? And so it's something that I think connects cross-culturally. And I really wanted to show that in this story. So that's definitely one of the moments I can think of. And then...
And how did you get through that moment? Like when you look back, was it just Cephra being robust little Cephra? Or how did you get through those moments? Like, if anyone right now is going through that, or they're struggling with that, or even maybe they're thinking of a career change, or they want to be more creative, like Alex, and you're in San Francisco Bay, like, what advice would you give?
What advice would I give? How did I get through that? It's such a good question. I think I'll say for me that I just kind of have this inner faith that things
like
are going to...
knowing that pulls you through.
Yeah.
Yeah, nice.
That's all I can really say. And just like always having a goal. I think like as any person, it's important to have like your eye on something. And I always have a target. Even if it changes, as long as I have a target, I feel good. And I just work step by step to get to that target. And that target could change. I'm not like precious about it.
Being okay with that change, I think
being
is big.
okay with the change is really important.
Yeah.
Yeah. But that's tough. I don't know. I have to simmer on that one a little bit.
And what about some other times in your life that you're gonna really see shaped you?
Definitely moving to San Francisco, which is really what inspired a lot of this story, right? For me, I moved to a new place. I didn't know anybody, and it definitely was a bit of a culture shock. Being like, in San Francisco, there's not a lot of Black people at all. And I did not expect that. Everyone had always told me, oh, San Francisco is so diverse. There's so many different cultures there. You're going to love it. And when I got there, I was like, wait a minute. Where's all the Black people? And so that was really interesting. And it definitely just showed me that there isn't a lot of interconnection, I think, between the Black and Asian community and the way that I like to see. And so I really wanted to highlight that in this, and I feel like my own community is very multicultural in that way. And so I think it does lend itself to being able to tell that story more authentically.
Nice.
Yeah.
I love it. So for any budding filmmaker out there, or even maybe someone who's already got experience but they've never made their first feature film, what do you feel are some of the most valuable things you've learned on your way to? I mean, you may never feel fully prepared, but but what are some of the most valuable things you're like, oh yeah, that was really, really valuable. That really gave me confidence. Whether it's like a writing workshop, what's some of the things you'd invite people to get involved with that can help prepare them and give them confidence to make their films?
Yeah, I mean, I think going to the Austin Film Festival was a huge step for me. It's probably one of the best ones that I've heard of, and I've only been to 2 or 3 at this point, but I loved it. They have a writers conference at the beginning, and that's where I found my writers group. And that has been really just inspiring and supportive community of filmmakers. All of us kind of have different backgrounds, and that's been really fun to just learn from them, see what they're doing, also develop my own confidence as a writer. And then the other thing is just asking people questions. I think being really open to feedback is super helpful and can really take your creative process to the next level, take your script to the next level, just getting feedback. And then I'll also say taking classes, honestly. It was through one of my classes at UCLA that I got the confidence to direct this project, because my teacher told me to. You know, he's a writer in the industry, and he was like, oftentimes people, you know, he would see a director and be like, I could have done this. But in his opinion, a lot of writers get pigeonholed into just writing when they really can be directors as well. And so, yeah, I've learned a lot from all of my courses that I've taken so far. And each one has given me a new layer of confidence to go on this journey.
Nice.
Yeah.
What's the dream? What's the vision? What's the intention for San Francisco Bay? Let's put it out there. Let's put it out there.
I mean, my number one is I just want people to love it. Honestly, I want the movie to be as good as the script, if not even better than the script, and for audience to really resonate with it. And I hope that it launches my career as a writer, because I have a lot of other stories that I want to tell.
Nice.
And I want to be able to produce them.
Nice.
Yeah.
And where can people get in touch with you? Where can they find out more? Where can they follow what's going on?
Yeah, you can follow me on Instagram at Cephra James, named after the amazing LeBron James. Yeah, you can find me there. You can find me on LinkedIn, find me on Facebook.
And that's Cephra Stuart.
At Cephra Stuart.
And San Francisco Bae, BAE.
BAE.
Awesome.
Yeah.
All right, thanks for being on.
You're welcome.